Yeah. All right. Okay. Man, it took us a lot to get here.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready, Sid?
I'm good.
All right. You gonna do it with me?
Yep.
Welcome back to another episode of The Highlight Reel. As you can see or as you can hear, I have a special guest with me today, so I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney Evans. I work as a researcher and community navigator for the Case Comprehensive Cancer Center. Mm-hmm. We'll unpack that in a second. But I'm also a social work student at the Jack Joseph Mendel School of Applied Sciences.
Yes.
Of course, studying social work.
Yeah.
And my concentration is community practice for social change. And I'm also a community health worker through the Ohio Board of Nursing.
Okay. That's a mouthful.
Yep.
Thank you for breaking that down. We are going to unpack plenty of that in a second. So, Sid, I wanted to at least first off break down what it is that you studied at Kent that kind of got you interested in that, and then what are you currently studying again at Case Western Reserve, so we can it'll paint the full picture. So
okay.
Go ahead and break that down for us.
So I have to start with I am a Cleveland kid, born and raised in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Went to high school at the Cleveland School of Science and Medicine at the John Hay campus. From there, I was a first-gen college student.
Yeah.
And I went on to Kent State University, where I studied public health. And my concentration there was community health outreach and development. And that's also where I earned my certifications as a community health worker.
Okay. All right. And then what is it that you study at Case Western right now?
So I'm studying social work.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. So what is it that made you want to get into this field in the first place?
So with my transition from public health to social work, I think about public health as what is going on? Yeah. What are people doing? In the field, they call them phenomenons.
Okay.
So different behaviors that people do. But I kind of got tired of talking about identifying things, but not necessarily learning how to undo them or help people through, adversity and challenges that they were facing. So during the pandemic, that was our junior year, the end of our junior year and our whole senior year. And I remember going back home and being at the kitchen table and just, I'm like, okay, I'm about to enter into the job force in a little bit. And so I decided to updo my resume and just get on LinkedIn and get all those things together.
Okay.
And when I got on there, I saw an advertisement for future change makers of tomorrow. Through the program, through Case's social work program. So I clicked on it and I saw, the different people who graduated from the school or the different concentrations that they had. And from that moment, I knew that I wanted to focus on people and how to help people. And so what I think about social work is the how. How do we make these programs? How do we research this stuff? And so we went from what to how. And so, yeah. Okay.
All right. And so, because as we were talking earlier, and you were telling me some of the stuff that you do, you were telling me a program about how you work with barbers to basically spread information about prostate cancer and things like that. So, dive into that a little bit, because when you were breaking it out to me, I was thinking that sounds really out of the box, and I would never think of something like that. But I can also see how it's effective, just because a lot of older gentlemen, probably be in barbershops, right? And a lot of older men, period, and a lot of older men, they kind of don't want to get that checked. They don't want to, they might not know about that, or they don't want to. But I think that's a nice place to kind of spread that seed, to just plant that seed so it can spread. So it's explain what made you kind of decide to go with the program in that direction.
Okay. So the program itself is called the Cleveland AfricanAmerican Prostate Cancer Project.
Yeah.
So if you hear me say CAP, that's the
CAP.
Yeah. CAP.
Okay.
And so The CAP program is a prostate cancer screening and education program for Black men 40 years and older in the greater Cleveland area.
Okay.
So I work as a community navigator, and I make sure that men who come into, it's a study, men who come into the study are okay from their head to their toes. And as far as arranging transportation, electrical housing, plumbing, connected them to primary care, connected them to screening tools, and all these different things. But I also provide training to barbers to become lay health advisors in the area of prostate. And so I help in the community. Right now we're in the process of uptaking these barbershops and just trying to get a lot of the barbers on board. But the reason why the program is kind of centered there is because the barbershop has been the longest lasting business within the Black community. It has provided individuals with entrepreneurship and a space to just be together and a space to, just be and just shop talk and all these different things, whether you are 3 years old versus, 40 or 50. This is where Black men come together in order to share information, talk about sports and all of these different things. So when, people think about community, it's two trains of thoughts that people have about community. Yeah. Some people see community as like a physical location, but community can also be a feeling.
Of course, yeah.
And people aren't going to feel like they're a part of community unless they have a buy-in. So I'm that bridge between the healthcare system, knowing what's going on with the research side in the healthcare system, but also bringing that information to the people. And one of the things that I really like about social work, and just myself in particular, is that I just feel like I can talk to so many people and just resonate with them and be able to have, intellectual conversations, sports conversations, just all of these different things, and really bring people on one page. But also, when I'm talking to the community members, I'm bringing that information back to these hospital systems and these researchers so they can understand what are people going through. So example of how me and my team, I have to give a shout out to my team.
Okay.
My current boss and supervisor, Miss Christina Austin, amazing. She leads the COE initiative, which is like community outreach and engagement for the Cancer Center. But then I have my program director. Her name is Rebecca Miller. Both Black women, extraordinary. Awesome. And we have a new team member, Calvin Isaac Torrance, who is also working as a community navigator with me, and he's a Black man.
Okay, beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
There was so much to get from that. So you were saying, I've never actually thought about the fact that a barbershop, you said that's the longest standing business within the Black community.
Yes.
I did not think about that.
I forgot one point. Barbering has been very tied to the medical system since its inception. How? So that's why people have to get trained in order to be barbers or hairstylists.
Wow, yes.
Yeah, so there's always been a coordination between the two fields, but it's just proper documentation of that and, cultural aspects of it that plays a role as well.
So with this project, did you kind of had a range of choices where you could take it and how you could go about it, and you chose barbers? You chose to go that route?
So how I landed on this program is that as far as my education with the social work school, the first year that you come in, you have to complete what are called field hours, which are times working with the organization in order to up your trade or learn these skills in real time. And so my first placement was the Case Comprehensive Cancer Center, and I was also the first intern to intern within this department as well. Okay. And so I worked my butt off. I really worked my butt off, and I really took the opportunity to learn a lot from Miss Austin or Chris, and she was she embodies everything that I would want to be. She's a marketing social worker. And it's really important because you can provide information to individuals, but if it doesn't look good, if they can't understand the language on it, if they can't, you know, even feel like they can utilize this information, you know, it goes to bust. And so she embodied everything I wanted to be. And so when the summer came, and I'm talking summer 22, and this position became available, I applied. And I was already an intern within the office, kind of working through what is CAP and just defining the mission of it and just working with the initial research team. And so when the community navigator role was offered, I definitely jumped on and applied. And so that's why I'm in the position where I work full-time and I go to school full-time.
Okay. Because we'll definitely touch on that a little bit in a second. Because it was just interesting to see how you tied all that together, because these are things that make sense to me, but I've never thought about them in that way. It's like, of course, I think about barbershops as a community, because that's where a lot of people will go. You know, like you were saying, they'll just talk sports, they'll talk life, talk men, talk women, talk whatever. And it's like it's a place, it's a physical location where community happens, but it's also a feeling that you get when you walk in. So that's why I was like, when you first brought this up, I was like, hold up, you're trying to show people, like, to teach people about prostate, prevention, health, and everything, and prostate cancer through a barbershop. It sounded really weird when you first said it, but then I said, hold up. But that's actually really clever. And then to even take it a step further, how anybody that works in like skincare, cosmetics, anything like that, you have to get certified. Yes. I was like, wow, that is at the root of it. And for people to even be at a barbershop, you have to get the certification process done before you can even like really contribute to that community as a barber, because you have to at least know what you're doing first, and then everything flows from there.
And I have to say that this initiative, like the concept of this, came from a barber who sat on our community advisory working group. We call it a COG. Okay. And so his name is Waverly Willis, and we also have another barber. His name is Milano, but known as Milano Barber to the Stars. I have to say that. And so they influence and they help us kind of guide where this project goes. And we also did something called listening tours. So we went on tour to different community centers or religious places, and we asked community members, what do you know about cancer? What do you know about prostate cancer screening? Yeah. How do you feel about the healthcare system? Do you think that a program like this would, help? What other feedback can you give us? And so this initiative is for the people, by the people. Yeah. And that's what makes this type of research very unique, because the people shape it. And so we're not going out, like, basically, we're not saying, oh, this is your problem, this is your problem. It's like, no, give me your problem and we'll solve it. Like, and so it already builds another layer of trust and another layer of, people wanting to participate.
Okay. You were breaking it down. Like, you're breaking some stuff down. All right, so one of the questions I wanted to ask is basically, is this, I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but this seems to be very fulfilling for you, because I know some people will maybe think that certain fields are just bland, but I feel like this is interesting to see how you put kind of your own little twist on it, and what you can do, or what people can bring to the work that they do to make it more fulfilling for them. Because it's like, obviously, to see how this affects black people, black men, and to see that how you can relate, because like you were saying, in these spaces you can talk to people, understand people, and get to know who they are and like their needs, and bring a solution to the issue. It's like, I see how that would make you feel good, because you do feel like you're doing something. Whereas I know some people might feel like this is boring, or they might think like, what can I even do with that? It's like very what's the word, like, not monologue, but it's just very like, bland. You know what I mean?
And
Yeah.
I think it's with our generation, like, we view these corporate jobs as something that we don't want to participate in. And I just feel like you have to find your people within, you know, whatever space that you're in. But what's fulfilling to me is, like, I really gained this through my social work education, is that people are the experts of their own stories. And that people are entitled to feel however they want to feel.
Right.
And that you can be the person who basically, if you have a seat at the table, they got a seat at the table too. If you manage your relationship with them correctly, it's another thing is that the people put you on. You don't put yourself on. The people put you on. Right. You are only as good as the people. Mm-hmm. And so I feel pride in joy in what I do because, you know, just being from here, that could be me. It's a series of life choices that I've made in order to, you know, get myself to this level. Mm-hmm. But that could have been me. Yep. And so it's humility in that, and it's a lot of just, you know, wanting to basically help my little piece of the world. I know I can't fix everything and like help everybody. But, you know, people who I come in contact with, if I'm able to, you know, get them resources that they need or educate them in order for them to understand basics of health, people should be going to see a primary care provider. Not because, you know, it's, you know, health recommendations, but one day, God forbid, if something happens to you, you have to be able to establish a baseline of your health. Yeah. So comparing 4 years ago you to, you know, you now coming in with like COVID or just something that's happening to you, your medical team is literally going to throw things at you and hope that it sticks because they don't have a good established, you know, plan of how they can treat you, because it's not like you got a physical last year. Mm-hmm. It's not like, you know, it's a deeper, it's deeper than that. And one more for these, I'm really trying to help these young people. If you do not see your primary care provider or your physician in 3 years, you're considered a new patient. So that's why that upkeep is very important. Oh, man. I could get healthy, like, no, real
I think this is important. I think this is, I actually think this is very important because I know a lot of black people within the black community, well, obviously, a lot of people within the black community will, you know, we don't, like, go to the doctor, go to the dentist, just stuff like that, because it's like, I don't need to go, and I'm falling under that. It's like, I don't need to go to the hospital. Like, I cut myself deep. I'll heal. Like, you know what I mean?
And
like,
it's another thing of, like, seeing black people, we work so hard. And to make it to the later stages of our life and not have a quality of life, that is just, like, I can no longer sit and see that. And I usually define that as people's purposes. Like, your purpose is something that you can no longer see exist in the world. Like, you are not rocking with this no more. And so that is one of the things that, you know, whether, you know, right now I'm working in cancer care, but I'm willing to branch out to other places because disparities exist in multiple pockets. But it takes people bringing together people and not thinking, oh, I'm going to fix this by myself. No, you have to bring the people together. Yeah. Like the Constitution says, we the people. Yeah. Without the people, there would be no we.
Right. Wow. So I think I was going to maybe try and wait to get into this, but everything that you're saying is reminding me of our time in the STARS program at Kent State, which makes me really happy, and it makes me very proud of you, because a lot of the things that we learned, I feel like I literally hear you practicing it. Like, of course, Sankofa, go back and fetch it, right? So it's like, and pull as you climb. So it's because it's like, as you learn more within this system and you learn everything, you're trying to give back the resources so people can better their lives, because as you were just saying, like, you want to see these disparities like end. You want to help as much as you can. Yeah. So to hear you say everything and to see you so passionate about it and to act on these things, I feel like I literally see you embodying a lot of things that we learned. Plus, it's like obviously appreciation for Black people. Like, how do we help? How do we help ourselves? And I see that what you're trying to do is help people help themselves, right?
Yes.
So it's just it's beautiful to hear all of these things come from you. And like basically, how would you? I want you to describe how us going through the STARS program influenced you and has impacted you. And I think real quick we got to break that down. What the STARS program is.
Yes.
So basically, Sid and I went through a program at Kent State where we got to go to school. We got to go to college early. And we essentially were in class all summer, like the summer after we graduated high school. Shout out 2017.
Yeah.
So the summer we graduated, at least for me, it was like about 2 weeks after I graduated.
Yeah.
We was in STARS. Yeah. So essentially, the summer after you graduate, you know, you have a choice where you can maybe just go home and work or go to school early, whatever. We chose to go to school early. And in this program, it was like a very enriching and cultural program where we learn more about our history. And I feel like a lot of the cogs in my brain started to turn, because I remember one of the first things that we learned in STARS was one thing that was so simple but sounded so profound was thinking of Black people as slaves when they were enslaved.
Yes.
Just hearing something like that, I was like, wow.
Yes.
So this was like, that's just kind of the tip of the iceberg of what happened in this program. But in this program, we learned community, because we couldn't go nowhere without buddy system, all that stuff. I just feel like so much of what we learned is showing through, like, even though that was 6 years ago, so long ago, I think it was so strong that it shows through in what we do. So how did that program impact you and influence you in the work that you do now?
Well, it has deeply influenced my research. As far as when I write my academic papers, personal papers, anything, I write from a very strong Afrocentric mindset, and bringing in different things like W.E.B. Du Bois' double consciousness, bringing in, Booker T. Washington, or my favorite, my woman crush every day, Ida B. Wells Burnett. Like, that is my girl. But bringing in all of these different figures and history into a space that only capitalizes off of Eurocentric views, or, white philosophers, or white educators or theorists. And so I bring that cultural lens, and that, we're in a time right now where individuals are trying to erase our history.
Oh my
and understanding the value and keeping that within that academic space. And so, people often talk about, critical race theory, and they have deemed it as something that is completely not. Critical race theory stems from something called critical social theory. And it's the ability to look at systems as something that perpetuate racism versus individual people.
Right.
There's systems that are in place that are creating these disparities for people.
Right.
But without that education, people think that it's one person. And this is something that, my family says, or like, other people say it. But, within where we're at, they call it like the fox of the north and the wolf of the south. And that within the north, foxes are sly. So they're not overtly, racist or like, trying to, really undo what you're trying to do. But the wolves, they cut it. So that's why you see stuff happening in Florida. That's why you see it happening in Alabama and Georgia and all these different places, because they're cutting it.
You're saying it's more blatant in the South and it's more subtle in the North.
Yeah. And with all of that, it's different policies and procedures. And so who is going to be the person who understands that? Who is going to be the person who ties both of these identities together?
Right.
And so that's where, I use that Pan-African, because that is factual information.
Right.
And so undoing a lot of that stuff within research, or other people's research and opinions and stuff like that, that is where stars has kind of helped me have that confidence of like like, we not going for this, like, and really utilizing the words of the people and being able to how to utilize that information. So that's kind of where my stars connection is. And I have to say another thing as far as shout out to Afia Bochi. I got it. And Courtney Tate, and Jackie and Charity, and those women were very monumental for me in the beginning of my collegiate career, because I don't know if I shared this with many people, but my freshman year I was gonna drop out. I was about to get up out of there.
Okay.
I was a nursing major.
Right.
I hated nursing. And so, because I asked questions about everything,
right,
and that, those programs are really cut and dry. Like, I want to know where a BMI comes from. Who made a BMI? Who decided that this is going to be the standard of how we do body mass index? Like, who does that? And they did not have enough time in order to, properly.
It was like, this is just how it is. It's not like the why behind it.
Right.
Right.
And so I remember having, just feeling like, okay, I'm about to pack my stuff tomorrow, but I'm about to have dinner with my girls today. And so I remember sharing, like, I'm about to get up out of here. Like, I'm about to go back to Cleveland. I'm about to go make some money. Like, that was just my mindset. And so it was one of those things where it's like, okay, girl, like, just give it one semester. Like, you still got your A. My GPA was bad. Let me say that too.
Really?
My GPA was bad.
Whoa.
It was bad.
I had no idea. I had no idea. Okay. I wouldn't have thought that. Okay.
Having that conversation with them, stay one more semester. During that time also, I went into my advising appointment, and she was like, this is not the program for you. And she was like, you know what? That's the little FYE class or whatever. She was my advisor and my teacher for it. She was like, you know what? I'm gonna let you slide. But you gotta change your major.
Okay.
I remember getting up, shaking that lady's hand, was like, thank you.
Right.
I'm out. And then the next week I went to a major and minor fair. Shout out to Dean Pringle, Ebony Pringle.
Yes.
Cause she helped facilitate that whole time for me.
Love her.
And so I remember getting there late because I worked at the student center. I was the person with the blue shirt with the fanny pack. Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
That was me. Keep going. Operations crew. I remember walking in late because I had to go to work, and this lady stopped me, and she was like, we just wrapped up. Like, was it something that you came here in particular for? And I was like, I went to learn about the public health program. She was like, oh, I'm the dean of the public health program. I was like,
right. Perfect. Right.
Oh my God. And so she pulled me into a classroom, and she went through like the course load. And she was like, you could graduate on time if you just, stick in and do what you need to do. And 3 years after that, I graduated with my degree on time.
Yes,
and so, yeah.
Wow. What a journey. I didn't know about that. I didn't know. But I'm glad that it did work out the way that it did, because it, like I was saying, like, you started in nursing, and then obviously that didn't work out for you. But from what I'm hearing is what you've been doing in the public health field and social work field sounds very impactful, because like hearing, like, as we were talking off camera and everything that you were doing, everything that you're telling me, I was like, wow. I can tell that you love what you do. And I always am happy to see that in my friends and in my peers. It's like, I'm happy that you love what you do, because if you do, then you are more likely to make an impact in that way, because it's like you simply love what you do for the sake of it. So someone can feed off of that, and I wanted to be able to show people that, like, I always thought you've been cool, right? I always thought you've been cool. I always thought you was smart. So it's like, to see what someone in this field looks like, and to see what the work that you can do and how fulfilling it can be. I think that's very important to see, because like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put you on blast real quick. So when I said I wanted to have you as a guest, you were like, I don't think I'm like, it's cool. I'm like, no, trust me. What you doing is important. It's very important. So I want you to hear it.
Yeah.
Take that. It's very important. And people also need to see like that they can basically see the reflection in you and understand that, okay, she's doing that and she's making a difference. I can do that and maybe do the same thing or do something different, but a difference can be made. It doesn't have to be, because usually when you hear people in these fields, they don't look like us.
Yeah.
So that's why when I'm hearing you say the difference that you want to make in a barbershop, I'm like, whoa. Like if I was to be in a barbershop and I hear somebody talking about prostate cancer, I'm going to think of you now. And I'm all the way in Cincinnati. You know what I mean? So it's like hearing these things, just seeing the seeds be planted and to see how that can grow into some beautiful tree, metaphorically. You know what I mean? It's just... It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing, and I want you to hear it and just understand. Because I'm like when you said that, you was like, I don't think I'm as cool. I was like, Sid, bruh, what are we talking about? Like we have stars to talk about, which has obviously impacted both of us, and then the work that you are doing is very important. Yeah. So just wanted you to understand that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely got this grind from like my parents. I have to say my parents and my grandma. Yeah. Like my mom is a dialysis technician, so she works with people with failing kidneys. Okay. And my dad was a police officer for 31 years for the Cleveland Police Force. And so those were two civic-minded, community-minded people. Yeah. And then on top of my grandmother, she worked for the Postal Service. But during her time there, she was a union rep. And so if people had grievances, like people would come and bring it to her, and like it's elections and like all these different things. But she kind of walked me through the process of like how to build community and how to be, you know, how to interact with people in that manner and how to carry yourself. Like you don't have to be, you know, bougie, stuck up, you know, nose up. You know, you could be doing your work with your people, but you know, how do you foster that respect for each other? Yeah. Okay. Because without the people, there would be no me. Like I would have no need. Yeah. Exactly. Like I would have no need. Exactly. And so I have to, do my
right. Yeah. So and then so obviously you're very busy because you work full time and you're a student full time. Because I think just from what I be seeing from Instagram and everything, I'm like, man, what do you like? You be doing a lot. So when is it that you kind of take, because I struggle with this myself, do you take time to just rest and just be for you? Because obviously if you're not taking care of yourself, how are you going to help the community that you're trying to serve? Okay, what does that look like?
So I definitely take time. Me, myself, like I'm a very routine person. So I wake up at the same time. I literally eat the same thing for breakfast. I make it to the office at the same time. Okay. Like even when I come in, I structure my day. Like, you know, I get my emails out the way, and then I make whatever graphics I need to make. I make my phone calls to my barbers later in the day because like they're in shop at that point.
That's so cool to me, man.
And so then I go and visit the barbershops, whatever. Come back, eat lunch with my team, work on some more work, and then I'm done with the day. I don't bring my work home. That's my hard stop. So, you know, probably around 6:30. Sometimes I'm making out the office like 6:30-ish. You know, it's a 9 to 5. But sometimes it just takes me a little bit more time to get through, you know, some stuff.
And I think that's where some of that like love and passion for it comes in. Because most people, they like, it's 5 o'clock. I'm gone.
Yeah, no, Sundays I had the days.
Which I get.
Just some of them
I get that too.
Days, okay.
But I think it's important because it's like when you stay and you like, man, I want to make sure this gets done because it's important. So continue though.
And so one of the things that I've taken up within like the last month and a half is I go to boxing. And so shout out to Two Tone Boxing Club. I be loving shout outs, but I know. But yeah, I go and I box for like about an hour. But the reason why I chose that is because like I'm not an exercise type of person, like class type of person. Like I need to be able to zone out and kind of mentally be able to like work on what I need to like personally work on. And so that's nice in between, and just like it's a physical challenge and it's a mental challenge. And so I kind of unload a lot of just tension, anxiety, It also helps with, sometimes I experience depression, especially with, seasonal things going on. Yeah. And so that's kind of my time where I'm like, get it out. Let me go ahead and get it out. And then I come home, I have a beautiful dog. Yeah. And right now, I have been blessed with the ability to move back home. And be able to, stack my bread or continue having guidance. This adulting thing, this adulting thing is very interesting because there's so many people at different, facets of their 20s. It's people getting married. It's people having children. It's people single and kicking it. It's some people, it's so many different phases that you can be in, but to come home and just be able to have conversations with my parents, and we've kind of have a unique dynamic of I call them my roommates just as a joke. But they really helped me kind of keep my head on straight and prioritize things as far as my finances and stuff like that, and just understanding that this time could be used to build and really build a solid foundation in which you yes. I don't want a house. I want a castle. And so I'm building the bones of what I essentially want my castle to be. Yep. And to be able to, get unique perspective on that, it's just definitely a blessing. It's such a blessing.
See, you preaching to the choir because I hear you full-fledged, and I also like how you phrase that. You said you've been blessed with the opportunity to move back home. I know a lot of people got that. Not everybody has that, but not many look at it like that either. Yeah. They're like, dang, I'm going back home. Because me, that's kind of how I looked at it. I was I remember I used to tell my mom, once I'm gone, you're not seeing me again. You'll see me not like that. But it's once I'm gone, I'm not coming back. Yeah. But I, moved out, did my thing, learned a little bit. I mean, I was smacking the wall. You know what I mean? I was, adulting is no game. Yeah. No game. You learn some real stuff.
That's when it's important to understand, what do you need? Yeah. Not what does society make you feel like you need, or just really hone in on okay, what do I want to? Where do I see myself in 5 years? Mm-hmm. And understanding that other people's testimonies does not have to compare to your own. Mm-hmm. And I've always been a person who I've always felt different than other people, because other things that people care about, I don't. I really don't. And it's just I would say the biggest thing that I have learned within my college journey, especially undergrad, is the definition of confidence. I used to view confidence as something that's what you wearing or just external things, but confidence is in you. Yeah. Confidence is your ability to arrive in a room, command attention, be able to provide things for people, and just you could look crusty, dusty, but if you command, if you could command that, and you could really be confident in how you deliver your services to people, that's a whole different ball game. It is. That's a whole different thing. Yeah. And sometimes people not ready for that. Yeah. And sometimes, with that, people underestimate you. But you can't let other people's views and other people's opinion overshadow what purpose do you bring to the world.
Wow. Want to let that rest a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Because these are things that I've been learning, of course, as as we transition from being out of undergrad. I feel even though that was 2 years, it's about to be 2 years since then. Yeah. But it's there's still a transition, because for me, I haven't gone, into any higher education yet, if I decide to. And you have, but it's we still learn some of the same things. Yeah. So it's I just think it's very important how your perspective on it and how you phrase some of these things. Because I was saying, to be blessed with the opportunity to go back home and have that guidance, That's so important. That's so important because as I talk about all the time, choices are, your choices are extremely important. People think they're not. It's like, nah, every decision you've made it's important. It has some weight. Not to scare you, but it has some weight to it. And then as far as like building the foundation, because I remember not too long ago I did a poll. And I was like, is it more important to have fun or to build your foundation? And you said build your foundation. Yeah. I was like, thank you.
And I think it's because like I don't like the spirit of poverty. I'm going to say that. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my main factors and drives. But understanding when it's time to rest and understanding when it's time to, take a break or take a day off. Yeah. But just be able to acknowledge that. And I think about in the aspect of like me being back home and having this opportunity is that I don't want to be sitting on the couch. Like, I don't want to be sitting on the couch. Like, literally, I leave at, like, 8 a.m. I'm not back till, like, 9 p.m. Yep. Like, because I'm out here. I'm trying to stack my bread. I'm out here hustling. I'm out here making connections or, doing what I need to do. Exactly. And so, for me, it's a respect level, like, both ways. Like, and, like, my parents definitely see how hard I work, and they're very proud. And so, to watch them as when I was a kid, work 70, 80 hours a week. Nah, I'm going to get out here and hustle because my people showed me how to hustle, Yeah. And it's beauty in that. Like, it could be, negative, overworking, like all of these different things, but it's a beauty in being in the flow of your hustle. Like, it's just something about it. Like, it's just really something about it. And so,
bars. Oh my gosh.
Just really emphasizing that, I'm still a work in progress. I am not perfect from, what I talked about, but, it's a beauty in being a mess because one day it's going to be a masterpiece. One day my castle is going to be built and my empire is going to be set. And so it's just
you're going crazy
maintaining,
right
just maintaining that and just being. Gotta shout out Devon Gomez for this.
Yes.
But he taught me how important consistency is. Consistency is being able to be told no and still coming back or still wanting to seek knowledge on why you were told no. Not shutting down, not being stubborn, but being consistent will get you farther along than other people.
Yeah, and I'll say that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned too, because I think like last fall I was like 170 in like August or something like that. By December I was like 200 pounds. Some people are like, dang, that's a lot. It's like, well, yeah, I know, but I was showing up for it. Like I knew what it take. I knew what it took. Yeah. I knew it was gonna take me being consistent to do that. Also, as I was talking about earlier, there are other things I'm being extremely consistent with, right? So it's like just seeing how these results, or seeing how being consistent can force you to grow and take you to places that, kind of being lax about it won't take you. Because just as you saying, I got some things I'm trying to accomplish, and how am I going to do that being inconsistent? Like, yes, I need my time for rest, and I will take that, but I need to be consistent in some shape or form to be able to get there.
But along that journey, you can't be discouraged if things don't work out exactly how you want it.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a very big spiritual I'm a spiritual person. I done had many conversations with God, and I done had many conversations with the ancestors. And they helped me understand, maybe baby, this is not your time. Yeah. Maybe these not your people. Yeah. So keep moving, keep working, keep, developing. And I think that, it's important for people to share, the times they got it right, but the times they got it wrong.
Yeah.
Right now, in the last month, I applied to get my PhD. I was denied.
Okay. Oh, I'm surprised by that. Okay.
So it's a humbling experience. But best believe I'm gonna be back.
Exactly. Oh, I'm about to say,
best believe I'm about to get my application. I'm about to get my application together. I'm gonna take me a couple more classes, and I'm gonna be back. Exactly. And then one day I'm gonna be Dr. Evans.
Exactly. Yes, ma'am.
But
yes, ma'am.
If I would have just took that as face value,
it's like, do you want it for real?
Right.
Yeah, that's how I see it. It's like, do you, like, if somebody told you one no and you just stopped, like, how bad did you really want to go for that at all? So I feel you and I hear you. And you have been on fire this whole episode. You've been dropping some gems, and I just wanted to say you are very cool.
Oh,
like, I don't know why. Like, when you said that to me, I was like, huh? What? Ain't no way you just said that to me.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say thank you for being a guest, because I knew you was gonna drop some gems. Like, I knew that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you knew that. So that's why I was like, "Sid, let's do this. He was like, all right, bet, cool. I'm thankful. I'm thankful that we met, because there have definitely been times like we can laugh together, but I love how we can really get into some deep stuff. Because I think a lot of times we mess around, talk about something deep, and then we almost gonna be like, all right, we gotta go. I gotta do something. You know what I mean? Because it's like we'll be talking about it for a minute. And again, it's like you've always been somebody that inspired me, because I feel like I can see that drive in you. Like, I can see that push. I feel like I've always heard you talk about the things you wanted to do, and the way you kind of proclaim it, it's like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then it comes, I'm like, I'm not surprised. Like, she told me that. Like, she told me she was gonna do that. And that's how I like to move as well. It's like, all right, if I say I'm gonna do this, I gotta do it at that point. There's no point in me saying it if I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, I just wanted to give you your flowers, and I'm thankful that you were able to be a guest. You got any last shout outs, any last words, anything like that?
Man. One shout out that didn't make it throughout this whole video is shout out to the glamorous ladies of the glamorous Gamma Epsilon chapter of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. I have to give a big shout out to my chapter, because them the people who hold me down, and they continue to hold me down. And just, from old heads to, young neos coming in, it's just beautiful sisterhood. And we always learn from each other. And if we don't do nothing else, we always graduate. So I appreciate that.
Beautiful.
Trying to think of anybody else. Yeah, just shout out to my people. I just want people to just continue doing what they need to do. And if you feel like, you called to somewhere, listen, and just ending with one of my favorite quotes. Okay. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it.
Yes, ma'am.
Once again, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. And that comes from a poem called Attitude. And it just talks about how important your attitude and how your mindset is to, what you're trying to do or how you're trying to, conquer.
Well, thank you for that again, Sid. And thank you to the listener and to the viewer for tuning into this episode of The Highlight Reel. Again, thank you, Sid, for being a guest. I really appreciate you. Thankful to know you, and I can't wait to see everything else that you continue to accomplish. And with that, that's been your episode. Hope that you have a good one. Hope that you could take something away from this episode. And peace out.